What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got a comparison video for you. So this is one I've actually been really excited to do. Today I am comparing all of my black linear holo polishes. We're gonna decide which is the darkest, which is the most holographic, which is the best price. I've got 10 of them from a bunch of different brands ranging from drugstore to mainstream salon brands to indie brands. To be honest, they're all pretty similar when you look at them separately, but side by side you can actually see a lot of differences. So I'm going to show you a swatch of each polish separately, and then I will show them all side by side in a comparison chart, and we can go over what their differences are. So today we're going to be focusing specifically on linear holo. So that means that the polish is going to have a holographic shimmer that looks like it has these rainbow lines in it. So there's also such thing as a scattered holo where it's just little rainbow specks everywhere, and a lot of the brands that I am sharing with you also have scattered holo polishes, but I really wanted to focus on this specific type of polish. So the best way to tell if a polish is a linear holo, usually you can tell from the bottle. If you see lines of rainbow moving around when you move the bottle, that's how you know that it is a linear polish instead of a scattered holo. That's what we're focusing on today, but if you guys want me to do any other comparisons of different types of polishes, just let me know in the comments. Before we dive into the swatches, I want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity. If you have a special skill you're trying to learn, Skillshare is the perfect place to start. From photography and illustration to graphic design and so much more, you can find classes that'll match your goals and interests. They are ad-free and they launch new premium classes every week, so there's always something new to discover. I have personally been a member of Skillshare for over a year now, and I have taken so many classes, and I feel like they're really beneficial for me, both professionally but also for just my personal hobbies. Most recently, I've been taking a bunch of classes on drawing. I just started a class called Find Your Style: 5 Exercises to Unlock Your Creative Identity by Andy J. Pizza, and it's been so much fun just doing these exercises to find my creative identity and really learning a lot along the way. Right now, you can join Skillshare using my link in the description, and the first 1,000 people who use that link will get a free 1-month trial to Skillshare. So definitely check that out if you're interested, and thank you Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. So now let's dive in to the black holo polishes. A couple of really quick notes on holo polish. One, I noticed that polish tends to look a lot more holographic after it dries, so don't be too stressed out if you are applying it and it doesn't look as holographic. Once it dries, that's when you'll really see the true amount of holo. And the second thing, something I get asked all the time in the comments, and the answer is yes, you can put top coat over your holographic polish. It should not affect the holo effect. That sounds weird, but you guys get what I mean. Okay, now let's get started. So the first polish I want to talk about is a classic. This is Color Club Beyond, and this is their linear black holo. It's a drugstore brand. It's probably the most readily available just because Color Club as a brand is available in stores, but just to note, all of the polishes that I'm talking about today are available online. This one in particular, it's actually fairly old. They've had their holographic polishes around for several years now, but they're really tried and true. This one has a pretty thin formula, but it's actually surprisingly opaque, so it's almost fully there in the first coat. But I am going to show you 2 coats. I'm actually showing you 2 coats with all of the polishes today. So a couple of notes on this one, it's extremely holographic. You can immediately see all of that rainbow shine coming through even while the polish is wet, but because it's super holographic, it has a little bit more of a gray tone to it, and that's something that I noticed a lot with holo polishes. Because that holo pigment is silvery, it tends to gray out a black polish a little bit. So we'll see that in a few of these polishes, but just something to keep in mind. And also, this one does have a thin round brush, but since it does have a pretty thin formula, it's actually fairly easy to apply even if you prefer a wide flat brush. So this one comes in a 15 milliliter bottle, and it retails for $12 USD, which amounts to about 80 cents per milliliter. So I am going to tell you guys the cost per milliliter for each polish just so you can see how much you're getting and how much it costs. So yeah, that's the Color Club one. Next up, we have Last Doubt from Fun Lacquer. Fun Lacquer is an independent nail polish brand, and they're actually based out of Singapore, but they are available internationally. And this one is also fairly gray, but it's actually a little bit darker than the Color Club Club one, so it definitely feels closer to that true black color. And this one is a thicker feeling formula, but it's actually not as opaque, so I do need 2 coats to cover that visible nail line. It's actually kind of funny because this one is really holographic. It's just hard to see. Like, any polish that I would have picked and did after the Color Club one would have looked less holographic, so just keep that in mind. That Color Club one is just super hollow. The Fun Lacquer one does have a wide flat brush. So this one comes in a 12 milliliter bottle and it retails for $13.90 USD. So that amounts to about $1.16 per milliliter. Next up, we have OPI Turn Bright After Sunset. This is actually a fairly new one. This was part of their winter 2021 line, and they actually came out with a bunch of holographic polishes, so I was really excited about those. This one is again slightly grayed out, but it is darker than the Fun Lacquer one, so it's almost black, and it just has a really nice amount of thickness. It's nearly 1 coat coverage, but of course I am showing you 2. The hollow particles are bigger than usual, definitely bigger than what I normally see in indie brands, and it actually almost gives a scattered effect on the nails, but I would still consider it to be a linear just because you can still see those distinct lines of rainbow. But I will say the amount of hollow in here is a little bit more subtle because we have those bigger particles. It's not as fine, so you don't see it as much. So it's not overwhelmingly holographic, but it's still a really good one. And they do have a wide flat brush. The OPI brush happens to be one of my absolute favorites, so definitely enjoy this one. It's really easy to work with. So the price of OPI really varies based on where you get it, but it does come in a 15 milliliter bottle. I usually get mine from HE Beauty Bar, and there they retail for $9 USD, which amounts to about 60 cents per milliliter. And then of course I do have discount codes. I actually have a discount code for a few of these, so if you are interested in purchasing, definitely check out the description so you can see where to save money, because then it will cost even less per milliliter. Next up, we have one from Starly. The shade is called Black Magic, and this one is definitely a true black hollow. So you can see immediately when I put it on my nails, it kind of swallows up the light because it is so deep. This is definitely the blackest polish on this list, and it is another super opaque one. I personally love the Starly formula. I'm sure you guys already know that because I've done a bunch of collabs with them, but this one is honestly just like a 1 coater, and it's thick enough that I would wear it on its own, and it is actually pretty holographic. This one for some reason was harder to capture on camera. My camera was just not picking up the sparkle in there, but in real life it does look really holographic on the nails. Definitely not as holographic as the Color Club one, and again this one does have a wide flat brush, so it's super easy to apply if you prefer that. So this one comes in a 15 milliliter bottle and it retails for $16 USD, so that amounts to about $1.06 per milliliter. Next up, we have a shade from KB Shimmer. This one is called Stark Raven Mad, and this one is actually another true black. It might be slightly grayer than the Starly one, but it's still very, very deep. This one's not quite there in the first coat, but the second coat does make it fully opaque. I feel like you could still definitely use this for nail art without having to do multiple coats. And it does have a wide flat brush, but it also has a rounded tip, so it's super easy application, especially if you're a beginner. It's just really easy to get around the cuticle area with that. So this one's actually really inexpensive, especially for an indie brand. It comes in a 15 milliliter bottle and it retails for $11 USD, so that is about 73 cents per milliliter. So it ends up being really inexpensive. And again, I would say this one is also slightly more holographic than it looks on camera, just because it's difficult to capture these really deep tones. So yeah, another really great one, and it's a very affordable price. Next up, we have one from Ice Cream Nails. This one is called Holo Be Thy Name, and this is another one that's actually pretty new. This polish is the one that actually inspired me to make this video. So this is another deep color. It's almost black, but it's definitely got a little bit of that gray in there, and that's just because it's so packed with that holographic pigment. So you'll notice that the more hollow that's in something, the lighter the color is going to be. We do have the wide flat brush in here. It's more of a medium wide flat brush. It's not too wide, but one thing to note is that it does have the ice cream cone cap. So I don't have a difficult time using it, but it usually takes the first nail to get used to the feeling. So just something to keep in mind. Overall, I would say this one does have a bigger particle size of that holographic holographic pigment, but it's still very packed in there, so it still looks super holographic, unlike the OPI one. One other thing to note about this polish is it's got a plant-based formula, so I never recommend smelling your nail polish, but this one happens to have a pretty good smell. I actually really like the smell of plant-based polishes. There's just something a little fresher about them, so that's really nice. So this one comes in a 10 milliliter bottle and it retails for $13.50 USD. So that is $1.35 per milliliter. Next up, we have Picture Polish Resand. So this one has a linear holo pigment running throughout, but then it also has these larger holographic specks in there. So it kind of adds that scattered holo in with the linear holo. So whatever way you're moving your nail, it's gonna look super holographic, which is really nice. This is another one that has the wide flat brush, and this is actually another one with that plant-based formula. So again, it does have that nice fresh smell, but again, I don't recommend inhaling your nail polishes. It's just something that you'll notice when you're painting your nails. So this one's almost there in the first coat, but it does need a second for me for full coverage. And Picture Polish is an Australian indie brand, so it is available internationally, but the price varies based on the retailer, and it happens to be out of stock on the Picture Polish website. From my best guess, it seems to retail around $16 USD, and it comes in an 11 milliliter bottle, so that's about $1.45 per milliliter. Also, side note, this is named after one of my favorite characters from my favorite book series. I like it because of that, but it's also a good one. Moving on, we have Cirque Colors Alter Ego, and this is actually another one that has the both linear holo and the scattered holo. So when you look at it, you can see that linear holo pigment in there, which is super fine, but then it has a slightly larger scattered holo fleck. It's not as big as the Picture Polish one, but it's still definitely there, so it just adds a little bit more of that holographic feel to it. It does have a skinny round brush. I also noticed that this one happens to have a little bit of a warmer undertone to it. So on the first coat, you could kind of see there was a little bit of like a brownish undertone, but once you put on that second coat, it does look fully black on the nails. It just has that slight warmth to it. So this one comes in an 11 milliliter bottle and it retails for $14 USD. So that is $1.27 per milliliter. Next up, we have Electrostatic from Holo Taco. This one actually has almost a bluish undertone to it. So compared to the others, I mean, honestly, when you look at it, it looks black, but compared to the others, it almost looks like it has a little bit of like a navy blue to it. This one also has the skinny round brush and it's super opaque. I can honestly get away with this one in one coat, but again, I'm showing you a second coat just so you can see what that looks like. I think having that bluish kind of undertone makes it a little bit easier to see the holo pigment, and you can see that that pigment tends to shift a little bit on the blue side as well. Again, a really nice holographic one and a very deep color. So this one comes in a 12 milliliter bottle and it retails for $14 USD. So that comes out to $1.17 per milliliter. And the final shade that I have is ILNP Black Magic, which I find it pretty funny that a lot of brands have a polish called Black Magic, and we've already seen two in today's linear holos. But this one is actually another one that has a very cool, almost bluish undertone. You can see that color undertone, especially in the first coat when it's still a little bit sheer. This one's actually pretty thin, but it is opaque in two coats. I was actually surprised because it looked super sheer in the first coat, and a lot of previous polishes that I have from ILNP do require 3, but this one did give me full coverage in 2 coats, so was definitely impressed by that. But this is a really nice formula. It's very self-leveling, it's very smooth and creamy. It does have a wide flat brush, but it's again that sort of medium wide brush, so it's not too wide. So this one comes in a 12 milliliter bottle and it retails for $10 USD, so it's about 83 cents per milliliter. So now that we've gone through all 10 of the polishes, all the big ones that I could find, let's talk a little bit more about that comparison. So again, they seem very similar until you lay them side by side, and then you can really start to see those differences. I tried my best to highlight them during the swatches, but here are my takeaways from this. The most holographic one I would say is definitely the Color Club polish. I think that one just has so much pigment in there and it really looks super holographic even without that direct light. The Color Club one also is the lightest color and the closest to gray. When I first saw it, it was listed as their black holo, but I was pretty sure I didn't have it because I knew I I only had a gray holo, but this one is their black holo polish. I would say the deepest black goes to Startly. That one really just looks super dark and intensely black on the nails. The coolest tone I would say goes to Holo Taco. That one definitely has a little bit of a bluish undertone to it. And the warmest undertone I would say is the Cirque one. I think that one has a little bit of that brownish yellow undertone. The least expensive polish and also the least expensive by milliliter is the OPI one, which is $9 or 60 cents per milliliter. The most expensive one for the size is the picture polish one, coming in at $1.45 per milliliter. But again, that was just an estimate based on a few websites that I checked, so that number might actually be a little bit lower. But yeah, overall, I feel like it was a really fun experiment to do. It was fun seeing them all side by side and seeing just how many different types of linear black holo you can have. I know a lot of times we see similar colors coming out from different brands, but I think this just proves that even when a brand comes out with the same color, it's going to be pretty different based on the type of pigment they're using, based on the formula they have, the opacity of the polish. It's all going to be a pretty different experience. Now, I don't want to pick a favorite out of these because I think they all suit different circumstances. You know, if I'm looking for something super holographic, I would pick the Color Club one. If I'm looking for something super dark, I would pick the Starly one. So it's really just dependent on what exactly you're looking for, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of these. I don't necessarily think you need all of them, but if you do manage to get all of them, they're all slightly different, so you can justify it. So yeah, that is it for my comparison. Hopefully I was able to give you all the information that you were looking for, but if you want to see this type of video for any other type of polish, definitely let me know in the comments and we can do that. I think it's actually pretty fun to compare the same polish across different brands and just see how much it differs. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. Huge shout out to my Cosmic Admirals on Patreon, Amanda M and Rocket Man's daughter. I really appreciate your support and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact question comes from Patreon supporter Stephanie, and Stephanie wants to know, what's your favorite day of the week? I have to say I haven't spent too much time thinking about my favorite day of the week specifically, especially in the past couple of years. The days have kind of melted together, so working from home all the time and being home all the time instead of going out and being social makes it kind of feel like all of the days are the same. But historically, I would say my favorite day has been Thursday, just because I feel like Thursday is a fun day. It's the day before the last day of the week, so that's exciting. At my last job, I didn't work on Fridays, so Thursday was my Friday. So after work, I would get to just do whatever I wanted, which was fun. I don't know, I just feel like it sounds good, you know? Thursday. Funny enough, not one of my upload days, but you know, maybe in the future I'll upload things on Thursdays. Who knows? If anybody has a favorite day, please list it in the comments. I'm curious if you have a favorite day and why it's your favorite. So please let us know. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.